lurk in the shadows, and kill enemies without a whisper. That's what the Raven Tree is all about, and it's high time we break it all down top to bottom. Hey there friends, it's Kodiak here, one half of the team behind Legacy Gaming, and today we gear up and take a deep dive into the Raven Tree in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. If you're new to the way skills work in Valhalla, let me give you a quick overview. Throughout your adventures, you'll gain skill points for nearly everything you do, from questing to looting, and those skill points can be used to allocate points into a sprawling skill tree. Minor nodes increase things like weapon potency or your ability to resist attacks, while major nodes fundamentally change the way you experience elements of the game. Today, let's talk about the Raven Tree, which fully embraces the assassin aspect of the game with a number of enhancements. The Raven Tree taps into the true spirit of Assassin's Creed, and although the Vikings aren't known for their subtle ways, there's plenty of skills that will make your time in the shadows a whole lot more enjoyable. Now, instead of just telling you which skill is good or bad, because let's be honest, that kind of subjective nonsense is just dumb, I'd rather share where and when these enhancements could be useful, and we'll start with the very first major node, Backstab. One of the most important skills across all three trees, Backstab should be one of the first major nodes you pick up in the game. This skill makes hitting enemies from behind more potent and causes them to stagger. It's a 1-2 punch of damage and utility and can help you take down bigger targets. There's nothing fancy about Backstab, but it's an essential skill for warriors and assassins alike. In unison with Backstab is a skill called Brush with Death, another fantastic choice that's a must-get no matter what tree you decide to focus on. With this skill active, you'll gain access to a slow time window every time you dodge an enemy attack at the perfect time. The dodge window in this case is similar to the perfect parry window, but that added effect is fantastic. This is most beneficial when dodging red or unparryable attacks, and also allows you to get behind an enemy, setting them up for a backstab. One without the other is kind of pointless, but together, it's a lights-out combination of skills. Easily the most sought-after skill in the entire game, Advanced Assassination is something truly unique in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This skill gives players the ability to take down elite enemies as well as bosses. There's a brief timing minigame associated with each advanced takedown, but it's relatively easy, even against the toughest targets. This skill is definitely a point of controversy across the community, as it nullifies one of the biggest aspects of any RPG, boss fights. In my opinion, it's definitely an easy button, but it's damn useful, and one, if not the most impactful skill you can take in the game. A skill that everyone should be familiar with is Guided Arrow, which gives players the ability to control a projectile shot from a predator bow in mid-flight. This is really useful when sneaking around encampments or trying to stealthily dispatch enemies in a castle. For those unfamiliar with the predator bow, this is the Viking equivalent of a sniper rifle, touting higher damage but slower rate of fire, due to a unique aiming system. Guided Arrow can be used to great effect in the right situations, but it all depends on what type of bow you like to use. Guided Arrow also has a minor slow time effect, which makes landing the perfect shot that much more easy. Since we're on the subject of the Predator Bow, we might as well talk about Predator Bow Combo, which increases your range damage for each consecutive headshot. If you keep up with your upgrades, this is kind of a moot point since headshots will almost always one-shot enemies, but if you beef up the damage by landing a few headshots, then take a shot at an elite enemy, you'll be able to deal substantially more damage. It's a no-brainer, just realize it's not giving you as much of a benefit as you may think. Well, we've had a good run up until this point, but you knew there had to be a few duds in the mix, right? Explosive Corpse is a cool idea. An enemy dies, you plant an explosive in their chest cavity, and boom, other guards that check it out will die. But in practice, it really doesn't work that way. There's a lot of cat and mouse required to get guards to check out other corpses, and even if you're going for a super stealthy approach to the game, the effect just isn't that impressive. It rarely kills enemies, and honestly, it's more show than anything else. It's one of those skills that's cool on paper, but fails to deliver in practice. A pretty straightforward skill, Breakfall gives you a bit of a damage cushion when jumping from high places. This will definitely come in handy considering how janky some of the free running can be in this game, but honestly, the effect isn't a true safeguard. You'll still take a sizable amount of damage when jumping from high places, so don't think this is going to outright save you. Let's just all agree that jumping off the top of a coliseum to the ground is a bad idea, and move on. Alright, now let's check out the good stuff, the real reason why the Raven Tree is worth checking out. Chain Assassination is the Valhalla version of Dual Assassination, but there is a twist. With this skill, you can kill a target, then throw an axe at a nearby target's head, killing them outright. If your target happens to be an elite, the second attempted murder taps into Advanced Assassination, and you have a chance to go for the kill once again. What's really happening here is the skills working together to provide players with some synergy, and that's fantastic. I honestly wish the game did this more because Chain Assassination is great. Now, to be clear, you can't kill two targets right next to each other. It's not quite the same as it was back in Assassin's Creed 2, but it's a great twist on a classic technique, and I think everyone should check this out. If you wanted a surefire way to take down some of the most stalwart enemies in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, look no further than Missile Reversal, which honestly doesn't feel like it belongs in the Raven tree. This ability allows you to catch and send back pretty much every projectile, like the massive spears thrown by zealots and bannermen. This is one of those strange skills that could really take your gameplay to the next level. There's a slightly higher skill cap, the timing it takes to catch a projectile is a bit tighter than everything else in the game, but overall this is something worth checking out. If you're looking for a quality of life skill, look no further than Auto Loot. It's simple and straightforward. When you kill a target in stealth or with a melee kill, you automatically loot their corpse. This is great if you're like me and either forget or are too lazy to hit the loot button, and I'm sure I've passed up hundreds if not thousands of silver because of my apathy. But this skill helps correct course. It's a no-brainer, and while not essential, it definitely makes your experience in the game a bit easier. Another excellent skill, Assassin's Cantrip, gives you the ability to throw a smoke bomb after a successful parry, obscuring the vision of your enemies and giving you a few moments to flee or find a place to hide. This is a must-have skill for players that aren't super confident in their fighting ability. Sometimes throwing yourself into the heat of battle isn't always in your best interest, and with the way detection works in this game, there are plenty of accidental aggros to annoy you. If you're a player that just likes to kill quiet or from afar, this skill gives you that option, and as an assassin, you can't ask for more than that. Miasma is one of the more niche skills in the Raven tree. Much like Battlefield Cremation in the Bear tree, it taps into the few status effects in the game. Miasma gives your poison attacks a bit of a lift. Enemies that die to a poison attack release a cloud upon death, infecting anyone that enters the cloud. If you're confused as to where poison damage comes from, that's totally fine. There are certain weapons and abilities in the game that give you that capability. It's not a bad skill by any stretch, but you have to invest in a poison playstyle, or it's not really worth it. It does fit well within the Raven tree, but it may not work for everyone, so give it a try and see if it works for your style of play. Our final skill is Counter Roll, which expands on the concept we talked about earlier with the Brush with Death skill. Counter Roll allows you to dodge roll towards enemies during red rune attacks, positioning you behind them. Of course, this puts you in the perfect spot for a backstab attack and just gives you more utility during combat. It's a fantastic skill, but the timing is tight, and there is an element of risk versus reward here. Rune attacks often hit the hardest, and if you mess up your timing, you'll take an axe or spear to the face. But the benefits of getting behind an enemy are clear, making this skill definitely one worth checking out. The Raven tree has to be my favorite in the entire game and provides players with a number of impressive skills that not only enhance combat, but awards utility and flexibility. I would say it's easily the strongest of the three in the game, and coupled with some key elements of the bear and wolf trees, can provide the foundation for an incredible build in Assassin's Creed. But that's enough of that, it's time to talk about what you think. Share your thoughts about the Raven tree in the comment section below, chime in with what your favorite skill is in the game, and don't forget while you're down there to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a new video. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.